Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne. I'm a law student from Australia and we talk about all things today. And the question I think that's asked a lot at the moment is, how does a 95-year-old dementia patient in a nursing home end up being tasered by police? The reports are saying that they've started her end of life. She's on her end of life plan at the moment, which means, I guess, unfortunately, she doesn't have much longer with us. Hello, Vidandra. So this is the question. So we will look at some news articles on this fact because, as I said, I'm very interested to see what everybody else thinks. But what the story is that the police were called nursing home and they were confronted by a 95-year-old woman who was on a walker, had dementia, and approached them with a steak knife. Approached them with a steak knife. Hi, Joe, I would use the police. Well, it was the police. Hi, Terry, it was the police. The police were called, and it was the police that tasered her. 2 male police officers turned up. Now, that police officer is currently suspended, pending the investigation. The police are being criticised because everybody knows that, in all seriousness, was she a threat? We will look at the rules. Oh, I'm getting used to my new schedule, Vidandra. I've got 4 exams and 2 assignments due in the next few weeks. So I'm going to do what I can to get on. But for me, this is a little bit of a talking point. I hope you've enjoyed some of the videos that I have been popping up. So let's have a look at, so this is The Guardian. So this is going to give us, so this question, by the way, he's been asked through, she weighed less than 50 kilos. I do wonder how much the officer does. Well, I understood, and I could be entirely wrong, that sometimes dementia patients do get violent and that nursing homes have procedures for this when that happens. And you can't tell me that between the nursing home and the police that they could not have got the knife out of her hands. You know, there's so many questions here. People are asking so many questions. I mean, my grandma passed when she was 91. Now, she was in a wheelchair, but she couldn't move the wheelchair herself, and she had dementia. I mean, I couldn't imagine if she had a knife in her hand that she would be much of a threat either. So, as I said, unfortunately, this woman was described as fit and healthy and bubbly. She's now they're now just making her comfortable. So let's have a look at this article. As I said, the New South Wales police are being criticised. Are they too heavy-handed? We might look at the taser requirements because, so here we go. So this is the lady here. So New South Wales police officer who tasered 95-year-old dementia patient cements duty with pay. So this has come out today. So she's in a critical condition after police used a taser on her during an incident. Now have a look at her. The police officer who tasered the 95-year-old in an aged care facility has been suspended from duty with pay as pressure mounts for the body cam footage to be publicly released. Now, a lot of this stuff is private. You know, you just get body cam footage. And usually the courts would see it, but they don't generally release it publicly. So it says she has dementia. She's in end-of-life care at the Cooma District Hospital after the incident caused her to fall and sustained life-threatening head injuries. Now, depending on what happens and depending on the outcome of the investigation, it has been stated that the police officer could actually face criminal charges. But that's all got to come out yet. Police say Noland was armed with a steak knife at the time of the incident, and the homicide squad is investigating the incident. So because she's on end-of-life care, the homicide squad is now investigating. So police have confirmed suspension of the officer, but could not say how long the senior constable who had experience will be suspended. Police have ruled out releasing the body cam footage publicly, with Police Commissioner Carrie Webb saying on Monday that the family did not want it released. But on Tuesday, Greens MP and spokesman for Justice, Sue Higginson, introduced a notice of motion to New South Wales Parliament calling on police body cam footage which captured the tasering to be released publicly. The Greens will also call for an independent investigation into the incident and a parliamentary inquiry, police powers and police responses when dealing with vulnerable people. We've got a woman who is in end-of-life care because of actions of police. We're going to be pushing as hard as we can. So it comes as calls for broader independent investigation of the incident, as well as police treatment of dementia sufferers. So the investigation will be overseen by the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission. They're saying, are they really independent? The Commission admitted in the report that it had not been able to exercise its power to live monitor. Sorry, I've just lost it all. So the police minister was asked in Parliament how she would ensure the investigation is robust and transparent, to which she responded, it's been run by some of the best detectives we have in the state. Politicising this matter is not going to be of any assistance. So on Monday, the New South Wales Premier, Chris Minns, said it was right for the LECC to oversee the investigation. It is important to have confidence in the investigation taking place. This newspaper also revealed on Sunday that 6 officers handcuffed a second nursing home resident in 2020 after she took a staff member's lanyard. So overkill? Is it overkill? Or was there a real risk of life? Is the question that's needing to be answered here. And I was also reading somewhere that that there are questions over whether the police are adequately trained. So let's see if we can find what the rules are for taser. Well, it would be that you would have to question that. And again, it's a vulnerable person. The question everyone is asking is, if you had 2 male police officers, how 2 male police officers had issues with a 95-year-old woman with a steak knife. I don't want to I don't want to downplay it at all, or make light of it, but it just officers need to be fined just to mission. Yes, that's right. Hello, Dom. I'm really sorry to hear about your mother. You've got prayers and thoughts going to you at the moment. Just Dom lost his mother, I think, a week or so ago. And just want to let you know, Dom, that I've been thinking about you, and you know, you we're always here, and I'm around if you ever need us. So they could have, as I said, she was 95. Apparently everyone is saying that she was pretty, still very active. All right. So, that's for... So, let's have a look at this. So this is taser. This is the public information released on the tasers from the New South Wales Police Force. She was in a nursing home, Vidandra, and this is what I'm not understanding. Aren't the nursing home staff trained to deal with dementia patients? Here's the guiding principle. So all operational police will be trained in the use of taser. They'll be required to maintain proficiency. So these are the documents. Who's the management responsible for that? Who is authorised to use it? What type of police can use it? It's really because they don't like to draw firearms, really. We don't generally draw firearms. So this is Sydney. Well, that's what I'm saying. So here are the reasons for taser use, okay? According to New South Wales Police guidelines, so this is under Section 231 of the Law Enforcement Powers Responsibility Act 2002, a police officer may use such force as is reasonably necessary to make the arrest or to prevent the escape of the person under arrest when exercising power of arrest. Now, we don't know that she was actually under arrest, and I can't see a 95-year-old with a walking frame going very fast to escape arrest. According to the New South Wales Police guidelines, tasers may be discharged at the discretion of officers following an assessment of the situation and where it is reasonably necessary. It gives officers the directions that tasers may be used to protect human life, protect yourself or others where violent confrontation or violent resistance is occurring or is imminent, protect an officer in danger of being overpowered or to protect themselves or another person from the risk of bodily harm, or protect from animals. So even if you look at this, okay, so they may say that she was violent and they had a violent confrontation, but you can't tell me that that a 95-year-old was going to overpower them. And as I said, they said it was a steak knife. It's just really bizarre. It's a really bizarre story about this. And that's why, because as I said, my grandma, when she was in her nursing home, she got violent, but they actually had de-escalation. They had de-escalation tactics that they would use because of the fact that half the time she didn't know, she didn't know what she was doing. Yeah, I would have thought there were protocols to do. I mean, people were saying, well, where were the staff? What on earth? Why was the police called? There's just you'd think they'd deal with stuff like this quite often. well, Bruce, that's right. I mean, dementia, people with dementia, they would deal with people every day. I doubt it was their first encounter that escalated. I was so a bit confused why this. Oh, everybody is. So this is so here is, as I said, it's just, I'm just gonna look. I just put this in Google. I just put this 95-year-old. I just put 95-year-old woman tasered, and have a look at this. I mean, the media is all over this. There's so much here, you know. Not hiding anything. New South Wales top cop defends why police told the media. The officer suspended. Where was the staff? Why cops left out of detail? Friends of the 95-year-old woman gives update. Condition is worsening. The message from the family. It is just outcry as Australian police taser a 95-year-old woman. There are too many questions. Yeah, I want to know where were the staff. I mean, that was my question. So lots of people have been asking questions. So let's see what this one says. So there, I mean, of course, the family demanded answers from the police. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I would. And she and the police commissioner has no desire to actually watch the footage or make her own assessment. So she was using, Channel 7 said she was using a walking frame when she was hit with a taser. A walking frame in the early hours of Wednesday after she allegedly failed to drop a steak knife. The mother of 8 is now receiving end-of-life care, surrounded by her distraught family. The police commissioner, Karen Webb, flew on Friday to meet with the family who want answers. Yesterday, I travelled to Kuma and talked with her family about the investigation and the process. I was listening to them. We talked about their mother. There are calls
for the release of evidence to the...
And about the very full, rich life she led. The incident was captured on a body-worn camera by the 2 officers, but the police commissioner said she won't watch the footage and she doesn't intend to. I've heard what's in the body-worn camera footage and I don't see it necessary that I would view it. Police would not make the footage public, she said, adding it was protected under the Surveillance Act. So as I said, footage from police body cameras are, we actually have very big surveillance laws and under the Surveillance Act. So it says, we don't intend to release it unless there's a process at the end of this that would allow it to be released. Staff from the Yallambee Lodge nursing home called police after Nowland, who has dementia and is 43 kilos, took a serrated steak knife from the kitchen into a small treatment room. Yes, Dom, there's lots of questions. Yes. Well, Vidandra, I would have thought that was her job. Yes, I would think for your own peace. Like, if you are so certain that your officers have done the right thing, wouldn't you view it? I think. So she was 43 kilos. Police and ambulance officers tried to get Noland to drop the knife before a senior constable fired his taser once as she slowly approached them. She fell and struck her head on the floor. The critical evidence has elevated to level 1 due to her suffering an injury that could lead to death. Police have been with the Nolan's family since the incident and they deserve a thorough investigation of what's taking place. What we know so far is what happened. We don't know why it happened. The family deserves to have the investigation done properly and it'll take time. We need to ensure that the officers involved in this matter are afforded procedural fairness and that anything that we say does not prejudice the investigation. The investigation will be highly complex and sensitive, regarding detectives to interview all staff from the aged care facility. It's a delicate and time-consuming role that they have. The officer who fired the taser joined the force 12 years ago and has been taken off local duty. He was supported by his local command and his welfare was being monitored. Assistant Commissioner Peter Cotter, who is leading the investigation, declined to say whether the officer might face criminal charges, saying it would breach procedural fairness. The Assistant Commissioner said he had seen the body camera footage and agreed with a family friend it was confronting. He also declined that it would be released. So you've got a 43-year-old woman approaching very, very slowly. And the sad thing is, she probably has no idea what she was doing with the knife or why she had the knife or anything like that. It's just really bizarre. And yes, and in my opinion, they really need to look at the aged care facility as well, because why didn't they have de-escalation situations in place to do that? And I guess the other question is, what else could they have done? What else could they have done? Was there anything else that they could have done that wasn't going to injure her? Because she was 95. 95. It made it onto CNN, by the way. It did make it onto CNN in the US. So it's a serrated steak knife. Well, I mean, here's another question. Why was there a serrated steak knife being left out where somebody with dementia could have gotten it? Like, A, where did she get the knife from? How did she get the knife? And why weren't those places that have, why wasn't, if it was from the kitchen, why wasn't the kitchen locked? So many questions. Hey? So I think the nursing home's not going to come out smelling of roses. So the Daily Mail in the UK has released this, which again is another interesting take. It's saying that the family have been pressured not to speak to anybody. You think a staff member boarded in? Well, Dom, then there's more questions, isn't there? Why does no one want to view the body cam? I think you'll find it because it's very... I don't know, Vedanta. There's lots of questions. So the friend of a 95-year-old who was tasered by police twice has claimed, so this is a friend, twice their family have been pressured by police not to talk to anyone. Speaking to Richard Medley and Susan Reid on Good Morning Britain on behalf of Claire's family, friend Andrew Thaler praised the 95-year-old for being a pillar of her community and condemned, it says Australia's Police Commissioner, but it's New South Wales Police Commissioner, Karen Webb, for not releasing the officer's body cam footage. It's New South Wales, it's not Australia. Australia's but done by the federal police. Every state has their own police. And to also claim that Claire's family have been pressured by police not to talk to anyone, and said they are thankful for people for showing support. So that's the interview there. So they said that she tottered towards him and his partner, the police officer. Tottered, yeah. It's bizarre, as I said. I couldn't imagine she moving very far. Andrew has now claimed that her family, who are waiting by her bedside, cannot talk openly about the case. We don't have easy access to update because, unfortunately, the family being pressured, I think, by police not to talk to anyone at all. And I'm trying to assist and make sure the community can get some answers and updates because there is so much enthusiasm and interest and passion and so much well-wishing. When the police tells the family not to talk to anybody, they are not able to receive the love, the care and prayer. That is an unreasonable amount of pressure for the family. Speaking of what let Claire being tasered by an officer twice, Andrew said he believed that the care staff on call at night might have panicked and were not able to properly assess the situation, which led them to call the police. Oh, apparently, so is he saying that she was tasered twice? Wowzers! He said there was further outrage at the fact that New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb said she wouldn't release the officer cam footage to the public and show how the police response call unfolded. You would think she would need to reassure Parliament, the Prime Minister and the community that the correct policing had been undertaken by staff underneath her. And she cannot do that. She cannot tell Parliament that the correct thing has been done, he added. We don't need the body cam footage released now, but we need to know it has been properly assessed and the right response has been undertaken. He also claimed that the police officer had not been charged with a crime for tasering Claire. Now, as far as I am understand, they've named the person. I didn't realise that the officer had been named. So it says Daily Mail Australia exclusively reported. It was, all right, I'm not going to name them. So there's been no charges made, and the policeman is probably hiding in a motel somewhere in another town, he added. Susanna told Andrew that nobody could understand what would have been going on in the officer's mind that led him to taser. Andrew praised the 95-year-old as a pillar of community and she ran a charity thrift shop for several years. He said the charity would help people get electricity and would raise money as well as handing out food and clothes vouchers. She was loving life. She's living life. She was very strong within her church. She knew everybody in the town and everybody knew her. This is not about a life lived in such a service of community should be taken. It's not how her life should be taken. He also revealed that while Claire made it through the night, she's on end-of-life care, but is hanging on. Some were shocked that she made it through the night, but she's hanging on. So this is all the well wishes. Look, she was skydiving. She was skydiving. So there's her room has had an officer at the front, rank of superintendent. No, it looks like it's a man. It looks like it. Yeah. So apparently this happened at 4 a.m. No, the policewoman. That was the police commissioner, Terry. Sorry, that was the police commissioner, that picture. Sorry, this one up here of the police officer was the police commissioner. That's the police commissioner. She's new, isn't she, Bruce? If I remember rightly, she's only fairly new. So here is what they've said. They've said at 4 a.m, police are called to the Yalambee Lodge nursing home. She's now standing in the kitchen with a serrated steak knife. A senior constable fired his taser. She fell backwards, striking her head on the floor, and was taken to hospital with a fractured skull and brain bleed. So this was at 4 a.m. She was in the kitchen. So I get back to the question, why wasn't the kitchen locked at 4 a.m. and why weren't all the knives locked away? So on Wednesday, May the 17th, oh yes, 15 years ago, yes, that's right. We need to put that in context. She wasn't 95 when she did the skydive. At 4:41, New South Wales Police released a statement saying a critical investigation had been launched after an elderly woman sustained injuries during an interaction with police at an aged care facility. So it happened at 4 a.m, statement made at 4 p.m. Community advocate Andrew Thaler told Daily Mail Australia that Miss Noland was now receiving end-of-life care. On Saturday, New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb said she has no intention to release the body cam footage or even see it. May 22 defends the original police statement where the matter was referred to as an interaction and left out the fact that Miss Noland had been tasered. So initially they referred to an interaction, not a tasering. So they've asked, the Daily Mail Australia asked Health Minister to confirm that there is a security detail in place. And why? Why have they got security outside the room? Do they think that she's going to try? Why is she under guard? There's something, Terry says there's something wrong with that facility. They need to close or clean house with present employers. Mr. Park's office said that it was up to New South Wales Health to answer these questions because they were operational and it was inappropriate to comment while active police investigation was carried out. New South Wales Health didn't respond. Revelations of security and a senior police officer stationed at her ward come as the New South Wales Police Commissioner comes under pressure for refusing to watch the body cam footage. The initial statement released from New South Wales Police and approved by the New South Wales Police Commissioner on Wednesday only revealed that there had been an interaction between the great-grandmother and the police. So she was tasered after she took a serrated steak knife from the kitchen into a treatment room. So 2GB radio host Ben Fornham grilled New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb on Monday, asking why the original statement did not inform the public what had really happened. She said it was necessary to us to make sure the family were aware of what the circumstances were, she said. We didn't want the family to hear on radio and TV what happened to their mum, so we did have to be a bit sensitive to that, and when we were able to talk about it, we did. The broadcaster then questioned if the decision not to mention the tasering was really about protecting the family or hiding something that might be embarrassing to the police. We are not hiding. I want answers. So do the family. I thought it was important we were reminded of the family. Fordham then asked if she stood by the decision to leave the tasering out of the media release, which she admitted she'd seen before it was sent out. Yes, I do. Terry C says, nope, they're lying. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable, Terry, isn't it? The Nolan family deserved to learn from police what happened rather than hear it from the media. The commissioner said, yeah, so she's not going to watch it. But Fordham said it was her duty to watch what unfolded. You're the most senior officer in New South Wales. You'll make the final decision about whether this officer remains in the force. I know it's not going to be pretty, but in the end, I think it's your duty to watch it, Commissioner, he said. Commissioner Webb said she might watch the footage, but needed to do so after receiving all the statements and evidence about the incident. I want answers like everybody else. So now she's sort of saying, well, I might watch it. Only reason Dom says, the only reason I say a staff member brought in the knife because at my mum's nursing home, even though they had a kitchen, they couldn't use sharp objects in order to cut things they had to use. Plastic silverware or had to get things pre-cut. Yes, that makes a lot of sense, Dom. So there are questions about how she got with the kitchen. She got into the kitchen. And how was she able to be wandering around the nursing home at 4 o'clock in the morning unnoticed? So local priest, Father Mark Croker, visited Mrs. Noland on Sunday and held a Catholic Mass at her bedside. He said although Miss Noland had dementia, she had been in good form and was able to hold a conversation. The thing with Claire is the dementia hadn't completely taken hold. You could still have a conversation with her. She might get a bit confused, but that's an age thing. It's understood the 95-year-old is in and out of consciousness and her breathing has shallowed as her 8 children and their families are taking turns speaking to her. Yeah, so, and then that's all the stuff that we know. Yeah, so there's lots of questions about what transpired, but I also do know the kitchen at Mum's job here had to have a card toast. Yes. Yeah, lots of questions. Yes, you're right. Things aren't adding up, Dom. Things are not adding up at all. As I said, so this is, so let's just have a look at the aged care facility. So it's got here it is. So it was opened in 1995. It's a 40-bed. I just can pull this up. This is from aged care. This is from New South Wales government. I'm not going to put the address or anything up. I don't want to get in trouble for that. Okay. It was built in 95, 40-bed aged care facility with 38 permanent beds and 2 respite beds. All rooms are private with ensuite. They offer a variety of different care services, palliative care to residents requiring assistance because of personal complex needs, and also caters for higher needs. They have a range of staff. They've got registered nurses, enrolled nurses and carers. Okay, so they pay a daily care fee, which is determined by the government. This changes twice a year. In line, you or your next must notify Centrelink. Work out what your refundable accommodation deposit will be. For those with no assets or assets below the cut-off limit, no accommodation deposits needs to be paid. Yeah. So again, there's a provision there if you've got no money. Residents pay fees to help with care of their costs if they can afford it. The fee arrangements, yeah, so that's that. So that is the aged care facility. So 40 beds. So it's only a small place, but they're saying that they've got it seems to me that the night shift had fallen asleep, not cared to lock up everything, and when this happened they were scared and lost and called the... Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, as I said, it's really, really bizarre how this all worked out. See if we can find... And so they're saying there's a registered nurse there 24/7, which is interesting. Okay, so there has been a worker has received... Now, this is also not young, I have to say. Report how this could... Oh, Terry C. I think we're all appalled at how this could happen. I mean, you put your parents in these places, or you put your family members in these places because it's supposed to be safe, and you're paying for really good care, and someone's dropped the ball. So now they're saying that a worker has received death threats. Now, they're not. It's not mentioned whether it's. It says that a member of staff from the lodge has received a death threat. Who's employed by council has received at least one death threat already. Police have been contacted to comment. So this happened in Parliament. This was came out in Parliament. Was responding to a question from Hawkesbury MP Robin Preston, who questioned how the minister would ensure that the investigation would be transparent and would be made public within 60 days. She said she'd be not making any comment while there was a very serious investigation underway, and it's politicising that is not going to help, but faced many questions on the conduct of the government in relation to the alleged tasering, including whether she had viewed the body cam footage. So this is the minister responding. As you know, there's an inquiry underway, and it's appropriate for those people who are investigating to look at all the evidence, including footage, she said, responding to a question from former Police Minister Paul Toole. You know, it's very important that this is run without prejudice. So this is the Police Minister talking here. Following one question, Miss Catley turned to speaker and blasted the line of questioning. I just want you to know that I've never come into this place and used it to politicise the investigation, nor I'd ever do that. Speaking to reporters, Mr. Toole criticised the minister for speaking publicly about the death threat. I cannot believe a minister would publicly put out there, which I'm sure all of those aged care workers and the community of Cooma are suffering right now, to have the minister stating that publicly is shameful. Green's Upper House minister has called for a parliamentary inquiry into the police. The police are tasked with keeping our communities and vulnerable people safe. Instead, people are coming forward with alarming examples of ways New South Wales police have acted out of turn and really face consequences. I fear this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we can go back to, you know, Friendly Geordies and what happened with Christo and that arrest. You know, we saw, that footage they released to show how heavy-handed the New South Wales police were at the time. So the government has changed. I'd just like to add, this is the new government at the moment that is dealing with this. So there is a new government. So whether or not the new government does anything, or is able to do something, is the question. So yeah, it's there's outrage all over the place about this. So I guess we're all just waiting for the news now that she's no longer with us. But and Joe, is there anything they can say that I would believe there should be camera? Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, that's right. We're just gonna. There's nothing that they can say that I believe. Yeah, look, it's just, the whole thing is just bizarre. And I let it sit for a few days before I said anything, because I was hoping that, I think it's been 4 or 5 days, and I was just hoping that that it would get to a point where it would make sense, but it didn't make sense. So I thought, you know what, I've got to talk about it. I've got to get it out there. But how does a 95-year-old dementia patient on a walking frame pose a risk to police officers who you would assume are highly trained? So the family has issued a statement, described her as a loving and gentle-natured matriarch who was a much-loved and giving member of the local community. In the statement, the family expressed profound love and affection for Mum, Nana, and great-grandma Claire. Does that sound like somebody that needs to be tasered? So this is an interesting, this was referred to in another article. So this is now, we're changing over to another, this is the ABC. Family of elderly woman handcuffed by police at Sydney nursing home wants more accountability. Now this was a different nursing home in New South Wales, same, but the police force. So let's watch this. This may be disturbing, so I apologise.
You big bully!
You just put it in.
You're a big brute. You think you're funny. And you... Oh! Oh! Help! Oh!
So that was the footage. That was pretty... So it says the daughter of a woman with dementia who was handcuffed in a Sydney aged care home is demanding more accountability from police over instances of force being used against residents. So Emma Graham's mother, Rachel, was forcibly handcuffed by 6 officers late night at St Basil's Aged Care Home in Randwick in October 2020 after she took a lanyard and an electric device from a desk. What? Miss Graham said the tasering of a 95-year-old in Cooma this week prompted her to release the vision of her mother's incident. Miss Nolan, who also lives with dementia, is in critical but stable condition. So this is the Rachel Graham weighed 45 kilos when the incident happened. It took 6 police officers. Police body camera footage showed the then 81-year-old Rachel howling in distress as handcuffs dig into her arms. She can be heard screaming, "Oh help," and calls one of the officers a big bully. She weighed 45 kilos. I'm sure that the family of Claire Noland is feeling the same way, that they've done their best to try and keep her safe, and it's been the opposite of that, Miss Graham said. She said the latest incident showed police weren't learning from their mistakes. The Graham family received a compensation payment from New South Wales Police in 2021, but Emma claimed they did not take responsibility. We never got an apology. We never got an acknowledgement of what they'd done. On Sunday, a police spokesperson told the ABC it would be inappropriate to comment because the civil matter had been settled. Ms. Graham said it was disappointing that Police Commissioner told the media on the weekend she wouldn't watch the footage. Senior police ought to expose themselves to it because they need to feel this. They need to feel the effect of what their staff are doing to people who can't defend themselves. The incident, according to Ms. Graham, highlights the need for health professionals to respond to frail aged care residents with dementia and not the police. Why isn't there some psychiatric team that can come and help when their situation is difficult? If the police are called, surely they're quite within their rights to say, this looks like a health situation, so we'll stand here and make sure that no one gets hurt, but you need to deal with this. Terry C says, this makes me want to spit fire. Seniors should be respected and treated with dignity always. Correct. That's a really good point. Why can't the police turn around and say, we'll make sure no one gets hurt, but you need to get the doctor out. You need to get the doctor out or the psychiatrist out or somebody out or the de-escalation people, but we will be here. This is... If in the fullness of these investigations and any other matter that we come to learn that we need to better equip our officers to deal with dementia patients, then we will do so. But it's not something we come across regularly, Commissioner Webb said. The Older Persons Advocacy Network said in a statement on Sunday that there were huge gaps in aged care staff training around dementia. We know that people with dementia require a certain level of care to ensure that they are looked after safely and compassionately, OPAN Chief Executive Officer Executive Craig Gear said. Unfortunately, we also know there is a huge skills gap across the country between aged care workers who are trained to care for dementia patients and those who are not. New South Wales Health Minister said open to changes in the sector to how to deal with the matters. If lessons are to be learnt, particularly for health and how we can respond to these types of incidences through a health perspective, then of course I will stand ready to do so. A spokesperson for community aged care, Minister Annika Wells, said there was training and resources available for aged care staff looking after residents with dementia. The spokesperson said that facilities were required to report incidents involving a range of issues, including unreasonable use of force and restrictive practices. So this was a situation from 2020, and so it's very, very interesting. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shock, isn't it? Look, if you don't mind hitting the like button, that would be really helpful if you could do that. Look, I've got to probably head off, but I wanted to just talk about this because as I said, the more I'm learning about this, the more I'm quite shocked about it. So if you're on the replay crew, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone that's come on and joined me. Sometimes I just sit here and I go, oh, I need to talk about this, so I'm just going to go live. So I apologise that I've got to try and get some type of order going again. I've got to get my planning mojo back again. I've got to get a lot of stuff happening. I've got holidays coming up soon, school holidays coming up soon, so I'll have a little bit of time. But yes, it will be... it'll be probably early next month because I've got exams the 5th, the 6th, the 11th and the 16th, my 4 exams. But one of the things with the planning ones is I'm just trying to work out, I just cannot find a system that I'm using at the moment, and I'm really trying to work out the best way to do it. So we'll probably have a journey about that. And for those of you in Australia, you need to go see John Farnham Finding the Voice, because that was great. And for those of you overseas, you need to look up John Farnham, because I swear he's got the best voice ever. And his story is really interesting. And he was actually born in the UK, but we claim him as our own, because he took up citizenship, but he's ours. You can't have him. Look, I'm going to try and get on here and try and make sense of Katie Joy at some stage as well, because I want to look at... Oh, Joe KJ has a new boiler. Yes, I've seen that. Yes, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Katie Joy and the statement on the lawsuit, and apparently she's got a new boil on her eyebrow, and it's just really bizarre. So I want to try and do that. Plus I need to check out what's been filed. But my understanding from what I've been told about the court case was that 7M were going to file further documentation and some of the rants that she's done in the last few days. And here's a question I want to pose. Normal Bird Lady covered it well. Oh, that's good. I might have to have a look, Terry C. Question that I want to ask is, has KJ got reality confused with fiction? Has she invested herself so much into what Josh did and what other people have done by this inappropriate behaviour, that she now believes without a shadow of a doubt that that's her life. You know how some people get so invested that they embody a whole different life. Self-deception might be that. Yeah, I just can't, because one of the things she was talking about was how she cut ties with her parents. But didn't her mum recently get diagnosed with dementia? She was spending time with her just recently. So there's so much that doesn't make sense. I'm actually just trying to work out the bits and pieces and to try and put in something. But yeah, it's really bizarre because now all of her family have been mean. I mean, she talks about her brother picking on her. Isn't that what siblings do? I'm not saying that what he did was bad or worse than what other siblings have done, but siblings fight. It's what we do. It's what we do, isn't it? So, yeah. Anyway, so we might save that for another day because, yeah, I need to do some uni work, and I've got to finish off doing my prep for tomorrow. Oh, here's a funny story for you, just to end with, right? Because I'm a music teacher. So I had a student the other day tell me my mouthpiece got stuck in my trumpet, and I went, oh, really? Oh, do we need to get it out? No, it's out. Oh, it's out. Well, how did it get out? He said, the dog did it. And I said, what do you mean the dog did it? Oh, the dog took my trumpet and pulled the mouthpiece out, and it lost the tooth. Still haven't worked that out. Still don't know how the dog. Anyway, it's just so I had to give him and he's grade 3. He's how old is he? He's 8. He's 8. So I actually had to 8 or 9. And I had to say to him, trumpets and dogs don't go together. Trumpets and dogs don't go together. You need to keep your trumpet away from the dog. But anyway, never at a dull moment in teachers. Oh no, it was funny. And the other thing is that he said it to my boss. So there were 2 other teachers there. One of them was my boss. So the fact that they heard it, like I heard it, it was like, it wasn't a case of, am I mishearing this? It was, no, this is real. Anyway, yes. So look, I hope to be back soon and try to decipher the KJ saga or the KJ files. But look, I want to thank you for joining me. And as I said, I hopefully will be back. Look, I might even be back tomorrow night or Thursday night. And we'll see what happens. Maybe Friday night. You just don't know. I'm starting to, get my groove back. It's taken me a while. I've sort of just been dull. So anyway, I need to get in and do some sports law stuff, and then I've got to do some constitutional law. But anyway, all of that sort of stuff. Anyway, all right, I will catch you later. Until next time, take care, look after each other. Please hit like. If you haven't hit subscribe, please subscribe, because you just don't know what you're going to see on this channel. we have it all on here. And thank you to all my members, all my subscribers. You are all very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Bye for now.